fire! WandaVision finale week is here, guys. Hasn't even aired yet, and I already missed the show. With the theme of this week being checking out the last of the theories before the finale comes out, gotta check out Film Theory's final theory video on WandaVision before the finale comes out. Let's see what's in store today, people. Subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified when our WandaVision episode reaction is up. Hopefully tomorrow morning, if we are successful at getting both parts up. It's gonna be a two-parter. Yeah, you know, there's all these talks coming out about the director saying some people will be disappointed. Paul Bettany being like, yeah, I was trolling. I'm still holding out hope he wasn't just trolling. And I feel like ultimately still be satisfied with the finale. Let's see what's in store.
Broken pieces of you are adding up, Buttercup. I have a theory.
Hey, that's my line. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, YouTube's embodiment of chaos magic. So here we are, friends. WandaVision is heading into its epic Episode 9 conclusion. After weeks of theorizing, mostly right, some wrong, we finally know what happened, we know why, we pretty much know how. Honestly, what we don't know is what Darcy's gonna binge once there's no more show to watch.
Very true.
I'm invested.
So now there's nothing left except for the final showdown where we learn the fates of all our favorite characters. Unless, of course, this whole show resolves nothing and was instead a prelude introducing us to Agatha, the new Vision 2.0, Photon, and the Mini-Moths, at which point we're stuck waiting for resolution in Spider-Man No Way Home in December. Because that, my friends, is how you get audiences to keep buying tickets to your stuff in a post-Endgame world. One word, cliffhangers. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty safe to say that things are really going down in Joyzy. Agatha Harkness is...
I do want to quickly say that A, Cliffhanger's an underrated movie, and B,
does there need to be a B?
Yes, there will obviously be cliffhangers, but I am really hoping that this show does have like a solid ending to it, as well as a cliffhanger opening up the door. I don't want it to just end only on like cliffhanger, now we gotta watch the other one. To have it feel like the story they're telling here is finally complete. Yeah. That's my one thing I'm hoping Marvel doesn't do.
Agatha Harkness is an actual Salem witch who infiltrated the Hex to steal Wanda's powers, which means that Wanda did indeed create the imaginary sitcom reality and mind enslave the citizens of Westview after she was driven to her psychological breaking point from discovering Sword desecrating Vision's
Damn,
body.
what a good show.
A scenario seemingly orchestrated by director Haywood in an attempt to reactivate Vision's AI brain. Why else would they only start dissecting him like 5 years after he died? Told you that guy was bad news and that Wanda had been to his weird office. Confused? Well, you're in good company because so is Wanda. She didn't even know her powers were actual witchcraft up until this point. As Agatha points out, Wanda is the Scarlet Witch, a legendary being that uses chaos magic, which in the comics means that she was influenced at birth by the dark elder god,
by rock and roll.
Chthon? Chthon? Honestly, there are way too many consonants in a row here for that word to have any real pronunciation. Oh, and if you didn't watch through the credits, Sword apparently turned Vision's empty body into a super creepy white Terminator version.
Yes, they did.
So yeah, that's some heavy stuff. Kind of makes you wish for the simpler days when all we were talking about was cosmic radiation and the birth of the multiverse. But for everything that's now been solved in the show, and everything that next week's finale is going to address, like ripping open the multiverse and needing to team up with Monica/Photon to take down the White Vision, I think that there's one massive dangling thread that may not pay off now, may not pay off a year from now even, but will come up at some point in Phase 4. Who knows, maybe it'll be a post-credit scene. Agnes loses and suddenly this big reveal happens before the final credits roll. You ready for this one? What if I told you the big secret of this show, the big final reveal, was that there's a third witch in Westview, and it all comes down to flowers. All right, this is about to get weird even by WandaVision standards, so lean in all
she's sus
style, my friends. This is gonna be our little secret. So I'm sure by now you've noticed that Agatha and Wanda's magic/power/telekawutsits are color-coded. When Wanda does her finger waggy zappy stuff, it's always shades of red, while Agatha is clearly big into purple. That's also the color of those energy vines that we saw in Episode 7's post-credit scene, and the color of all the flowers in front of her house. Well, it's easy to overlook, but Agatha isn't the only person with a green thumb here in Westview. In the same episode where Agatha's true identity is revealed and we get a good look at her plants, we also see Wanda's garden. And you guessed it, the Maximov's roses grow red. But wait a second here, didn't roses come up once before? Like way back when the show was black and white? Come to think of it, the perfect place to hide a color clue in plain sight.
Agnes, Dottie can't be as bad as you say.
Her roses.
So it
blew
is
under
Dottie.
penalty
That's
of
what I was
death.
saying.
Yep, it is easy to forget, but when this whole series began,
right.
we were introduced to Dottie Jones, a
Yes.
character who gets a big deal made out of her, and an even bigger deal made out of her flowers.
Dottie is the key to everything in this town.
She was super
You edited it like that?
She's set up to be a major antagonist to Wanda.
I've heard things about you.
That's
and
so
your
true.
But I assure you, I don't mean anyone any harm. I don't believe you.
I gotta say, I'm already loving this because people were constantly theorizing about Dottie,
Yeah.
but in the last few episodes, no one's been bringing her up.
No, and she has
Yeah.
appeared in like little reverse shots
Yes.
from like across the street.
And
Like,
especially after that second episode, people were like, oh, is she a big villain? Is she something more to the story? And so bringing it back around, and then the way this is being edited, you're like, that's right, yes!
and of all the people in Westview, she's one of the more recognizable character actors they've cast, and I have to imagine that would be for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, and especially with Agatha, knowing who she is now and saying she's the key to everything.
Well, and also too, I mean, Dottie seemed a little bit too comfortable after that whole blood incident too.
She even gets the show's first appearance of that creepy line about children.
All of this is for the children.
So goddamn.
For the children.
But then, nothing. She disappears for the rest of the show. Dottie was apparently just a red herring, a false lead, a Chekhov's gun left forgotten on the
Maybe.
table. Or
Red
at least that's what I
herring.
thought until episode 7. You see, right in the middle of what we now know in hindsight as a big confrontation between all of our super-powered female main characters, we get a cutaway to Dottie
Yes.
Jones and her now colorized bright yellow
Oh,
roses.
damn!
You do is lie!
The clues of the
So
roses?
could there be some hidden magic?
I feel like I fall for this Easter egg shit too much.
Everything is compelling when it's pitched the right way.
Witch with purple powers and red flowers yield an angry, confused, red-headed witch with scarlet powers. It stands to reason that yellow flowers could link up with a blonde-headed witch with yellow powers. And wouldn't you know it, but that's exactly what you'll find in the library of Marvel Comics characters.
What?
A blonde superhero sorceress whose magic energy signature is usually yellow and whose last name is Jones, just like Dottie. Theorists, let me introduce you to witch number 3 in Westview, Arcana Jones. And if those similarities weren't convincing enough, they both even have husbands named Phil.
Phil,
No!
make me look fat.
It's all there!
Yeah. Damn.
Oh, and one other thing. Arcana isn't just from the Marvel Universe, she comes from the Marvel Multiverse. So with her potentially being important, let's talk a bit more about her. Arcana was a member
Am I getting way too salty early on? I feel like it's all there. I feel like right there, it's all there.
I understand your apprehension, but no, it feels like it's all there.
God damn.
of Squadron Supreme, a whole team of characters who are parodies of Justice League members, and who live on an alternate reality Earth that basically exists for Marvel writers to dunk on their competitors at DC. There's been a bunch of different versions and reboots of the Squadron over the years, but what's interesting about Arcana maybe popping back up here in the MCU is that they're also getting a massive new push in the comics. You see, Marvel just recently revealed that their big summer event series will, and stop me if you've heard this one, zap the universe into an alternate timeline where core heroes never got their origins and the Avengers never formed. In other words, Arcana and the rest of our Squadron Supreme are doing a sort of what-if storyline, where all the usual suspects are decommissioned, and this group of randos are now the superheroes on Earth because no one else is there to get the job done. Now, you know what you're thinking. Superheroes blinked away into an alternate timeline? You're gonna tell me this is another Wanda thing, right? No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. I mean, how predictable do you think these get, right? Jeez, guys, cut me some slack. It wasn't Wanda. It was her dad, Magneto. It was half him anyway. You see, in the comics, it was really the result of combining the subconscious minds of Magneto and Charles Xavier into a single entity. Basically, Professor X and his best frenemy made a mind baby named Onslaught, and it broke the Marvel universe into different lunch periods for a few months.
Whoa.
So is that what WandaVision is building up to? Absolutely not.
Not.
But maybe see something similar if in fact Marvel is suddenly having Squadron Supreme members like Arcana of all characters pop their heads out. Consider this. What if we've all been thinking about this backwards? Almost everyone who's theorized about Wanda's future role in the MCU, myself included, has focused on her upcoming role in Multiverse of Madness as this indicator that she'll be involved in making the Marvel Cinematic Universe bigger and crazier. Maybe by bringing in the X-Men, changing powers around, expanding genres, whatever. But from what we've seen of her actions and her state of mind throughout WandaVision, bigger worlds are the opposite of what she's looking for. WandaVision has been all about how this would-be Scarlet Witch has retreated from the ideas of friendship and community and found family, even reality itself. She is living in her own head. She is living inside of nostalgia, literally building walls and safe spaces in order to protect herself. Now, the show is clearly demonstrating that this is unhealthy and self-destructive, but in the bigger picture, she's also fundamentally turned against the foundations of the MCU's basic philosophy. I don't know if you've noticed this, but each and every one of these films has reinforced the idea of being a team player, sacrificing for the greater good, forming found families, crossing and even ultimately eliminating the concept of borders and separations. Everything being connected is not only Marvel Studios' strategy and brand, it's also their philosophical ideology. But as it concerns poor Mrs. Maximoff over in Westview, if she loses her family again, it'll push Wanda to go full onslaught and blast the MCU into fragments.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate WandaVision again really quick, because that is exactly why this show's so cool, because it's not a superhero show.
Every time a superhero thing happens, you're like, oh, that's right.
Psychological witchcraft, supernatural series, drama. It's so damn good. I love it so much.
Usually trapping individual franchises in worlds where Avengers and Guardians never teamed up, or worlds where S.H.I.E.L.D. never unfroze Steve Rogers, or, more likely based on the upcoming movie slate, worlds where Thor is suddenly Jane Foster, as confirmed by the early plot of Thor: Love and Thunder,
and
or
Matt
one
Damon.
where Tony Stark never helped upgrade Peter Parker, where he's left to fend for himself alongside other famous spider people from the past, struggling to find his way home. They've already practically confirmed that Wanda can absolutely do this, even before we knew about the apparently limitless power of the chaos magic. This appears most clearly in Episode 7's fake commercial act break for the antidepressant medication NEXUS.
A unique antidepressant that works to anchor you back to your reality.
Show's so deep.
Or the reality of your choice.
At this point in the series, all the other commercial breaks have been explained. The toaster was Tony Stark's bomb, like we predicted. The Hydra soap was the Mind Stone, also kind of like we predicted. The shark-eating Yo Magic yogurt was Agatha looking to consume Wanda's powers, leaving her an empty, dried-out husk. The only one left unexplained is that final NEXUS commercial. And that's because it's not looking backwards, but rather is the only one looking ahead at what's to come. Specifically, NEXUS is a clear reference to the comics' Nexus of All Realities, which acts as a hub between the different regions of the multiverse and also to Nexus beings, superhumans that are powerful enough to manipulate the order and shape of those realities. I'll give you one guess as to who's a Nexus being. Wanda. Guess who made that distinction? A group of cosmic bureaucrats named the Time Variance Authority. Not ringing any bells? Oh, don't worry, it shouldn't. Yet. But get used to hearing the name. They're the guys who are almost certainly giving orders to the God of Mischief in the upcoming Loki show. Again, worlds connecting worlds. You do a little Easter egg. The fractured universe, of course, could eventually be triumphantly recombined in ways that would make reintroducing mutants, Inhumans, X-Men, Deadpool, everyone from Netflix minus Iron Fist, and all manner of reboots much, much simpler, but more importantly, would give Phase 4 a chance to reaffirm how important all that family and connection stuff is to the MCU, and how lost all the characters were without it, while also doing a bunch of meta-satirical dunking on certain other superhero franchises that always go the solo superhero route. Which obscure Marvel team suddenly seems to be all over the place again? It was Arcana all along. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And one other thing. For weeks now, fans of the series have been buzzing about Paul Bettany's tease of a special guest star that's yet to appear on the show, about which he'd only say that they're a performer that he's really wanted to work with and has never had the chance to before. The guesses on this have encompassed basically every every actor who has ever played a superhero but has never shared a scene with Vision. From Patrick Stewart as Professor X to Hugh Jackman as
Maybe
Wolverine.
it is Paul Bettany.
Well, we don't know who the character is or if it'll be a Marvel character at all, but we do have ourselves a theory about who that mystery actor will be when they show up. None other than the Disney legend Dick Van Dyke. You see, episode 8 revealed that the reason Wanda's magic mental breakdown happy place looks like ancient American sitcoms is that, like a lot of real-life immigrants of her generation, she learned
It's gonna be intense scenes with Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke is Mephisto.
What would be the intense scenes?
I don't know. I
Or
can't
intense
fight
chemistry,
him.
I don't know.
I mean, when I saw him in Mary Poppins, he already looked.
I was already like, don't dance too much, man.
Bad respect to the guy, but also, yeah, be safe.
English in part watching classic American TV shows and formed a powerful nostalgic connection to their idealized version of American suburbia. And while we saw DVDs or clips from almost every series WandaVision has made references to, only one was explicitly highlighted and named as Wanda's absolute favorite, The Dick Van Dyke Show, which not only formed the point of reference for WandaVision's first episode, the series creators actually brought in the still very much alive 95-year-old comedy star as a consultant to help them get their classic TV feel just right. So yeah, I'm calling my shot with this one.
Wow.
The big final guest appearance of the show will be Dick Van Dyke. As far as who they're gonna have him play, don't really know. Think he can pull off a Submariner Speedo?
Wonder
Yes. I want it.
Look, I'm all for everything else you've said.
But I'm drawing the line.
I don't think it's Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke.
I feel like Dick Van Dyke can cameo, but I don't think that's what he was referring to.
Preposterous.
That just sounds a little too much. I mean, especially after everything Paul Bettany would say. But everything about Dottie, especially with like all the clues about Agatha Harkness, and yeah, it ended up being Agatha Harkness. A lot of the more apparent comic references that seem to be coming true, it just seems likely that it would be Dottie from the comics that he's pulling from here. So yeah, I believe that.
Well, and plus, what does that open us up to? Like other Marvel movies where they'll be taking direct jabs at DC?
That'd be fun.
I mean, it would.
All right, guys. Well, what'd you guys think of this? This was a wonderful, another solidly executed, hilarious, perfectly scripted, perfectly edited video from Film Theory. Push them over the line to 1 billion subscribers. Keep a lookout for our WandaVision reaction. Love this one. Subscribe, click the notification bell, hit that like button. Check out our other WandaVision videos. Last but not least, I got a new shirt. Nelson and Murdoch, attorney at law.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I
Another
can see.
person who wears red who is also losing some vision.
Oh, perfect.
This comes from Maria Hammond. Maria sent us over several shirts, and this is the most recent one that she sent us. All right, next Marvel video, I gotta be wearing this t-shirt. Thank you so much, Maria. I love it. Fits wonderfully. Gotta kind of wash it so it straightens out a little bit. But right now, it's perfect. You've been such a sweetheart to both John and I. I love chatting with you. You're such an incredible support to us in more ways than one. You rock. Thank you so much for every single thing you've ever given us, and thank you mainly for your kindness and for lending us your heart in so many ways.
Kalima.
Kalima.
Kalima.